The dust of the old village road clung to Armin Haley's worn shoes as the sun rose high above the fields, bright and unforgiving, lighting every crack in the walls of the house he once called home. Just 3 years ago, his face had been on business magazines, his name whispered with admiration in glass offices. Today, under the clear daylight sky, he returned as a man no one would recognize, his heart heavier than the small cloth bag he carried. He had come back pretending to be poor, not to punish anyone, but to finally learn the truth that money had hidden from him all his life. If you believe kindness deserves a second chance and that the truth of the heart matters more than wealth, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Dreams Journal right now. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Armin had grown up in this house with peeling blue paint and a neem tree standing guard in the courtyard. He remembered bright afternoons when laughter echoed off the walls, when promises were made easily because nothing had yet been tested. After his father's death, Armin had left with ambition burning inside him. Years passed, success followed, and with it came silence. Calls went unanswered. Visits were always postponed. Slowly, he felt like an outsider to his own blood. So when his company reached its highest peak, instead of celebrating, Armin felt an emptiness that wealth could not fill. He decided to return home quietly, dressed in faded clothes, claiming his business had failed, his money gone, and his life broken. The village looked the same under the midday sun, yet everything felt different. Neighbors glanced at him with curiosity, some with pity. When he reached the house, the gate creaked open, and the familiar courtyard smelled of dust and dry leaves. His younger brother Nadim stood there first, older now, lines etched into his face by responsibility. Nadim's eyes traveled over Armin's simple clothes and tired posture. There was no warmth, only calculation. Inside, their mother Safiya sat on a woven charpai, sunlight spilling across her silver hair. She looked up slowly, surprise flickering before hardening into concern mixed with disappointment. Armin shared his story of failure in a low, steady voice, watching faces carefully. The house felt smaller in the daylight, the walls pressing closer as reactions unfolded. Nadim spoke of burden, of how another mouth would stretch their limited means. His sister-in-law Farah avoided eye contact, already imagining sacrifices she did not want to make. Even his uncle Rashid, who lived nearby and had once praised Armin endlessly, offered advice that sounded more like dismissal, suggesting Armin find work elsewhere, anywhere but here. Each response landed like a quiet blow, more painful because no one raised their voice. Only his mother listened in silence, her eyes never leaving his face. Yet even she hesitated, torn between love and fear. By afternoon, Armin was given a small storage room to sleep in, a thin mattress on the floor, and unspoken rules about not being a burden. The message was clear under the bright sky: without money, he had little value here. Days passed in harsh daylight routines. Armin offered to help, sweeping the courtyard, fixing broken stools, running errands in the sun. His brother's impatience grew. Remarks about uselessness slipped into the air like heat. The neighbors who once envied his success now pitted him openly. Each moment tested Armin's resolve. He questioned whether the truth would ever surface, whether this test was cruel even to himself. But then there was Ariba, his niece, a small girl with curious eyes who followed him around during sunny afternoons. She shared her bread with him, smiled without expectation, and reminded him why he had come. One afternoon, when the sun stood high and unforgiving, Safiya collapsed in the courtyard. Panic erupted. With no money for immediate treatment, hesitation froze the family. Armin moved without thinking. He carried her through the glaring daylight to the clinic, insisting on care, promising payment later. He stayed by her side, wiping sweat from her brow, fear tightening his chest. In that moment, no test mattered, only love. When Safiya regained consciousness, something shifted. She looked at Armin not as a failure, but as her son. That evening, under the softening daylight, Armin revealed the truth. He explained the test, the wealth, the reason behind the deception. The revelation struck like thunder. Naeem's face drained of color. Farah wept in shame. Uncle Rashid could not meet Armin's eyes. The weight of their actions pressed down on them heavier than poverty ever had. Armin did not gloat. He did not accuse. He spoke of disappointment, of pain, but also of understanding how fear can twist love. He chose forgiveness, not because they deserved it, but because holding on to anger would make him poorer than any lie ever could. The next morning, sunlight filled the courtyard as repairs began, not just to the house, but to hearts. Armin set boundaries, offered support with dignity, and made it clear that kindness was not something to be tested again. Before the story ends, please comment one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words matter more than you know. As Armin prepared to leave, the village glowed in warm daylight, and his family stood together, quieter, humbler, changed. He walked away knowing that wealth had finally taught him its greatest lesson. If this story touched your heart, moved you, or reminded you of the power of compassion, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Dreams Journal. Your engagement helps spread stories that remind us all what truly makes us rich.